I'll kick it off. Sheetal will give you the high-level overview of what BLOK Capital is actually trying to do in the world, how we are thinking about wealth management of the future, and why we believe everybody should have access to it, and why on-chain is actually ideal for this. Then we will have Mohit, who just joined, who will talk a little bit about the architecture of the self-custodial wealth management protocol we are building, and then we will have our colleague Farouk or Chintan, one of them, talk about more details about gardens and other things. I am not going to explain what gardens and gardeners are. I'll leave it to Sheetal. It was his original idea when he was when he dreamt up the BLOK Capital, and they've been executing on this with Mohit for the past year. I joined just recently. My name is BFG, or Bright Future Guy. You guys probably know me from the Red PFP, and I'm basically helping BLOK Capital to figure out the best way to the market. And since we are only missing one more person, I think, Sheetal, we are kind of ready to go. So
yeah. So we set about decentralizing and getting your funds back in your wallet, where these fund wealth managers become essentially gardeners to your garden. So we had this concept born as a garden, and the future of a garden would be, well, you can manage it yourself, you can take care of your own garden, or you could start to work with an expert gardener who could maintain your garden for you. So this was all possible, of course. I mean, many of the people on this call will be aware, through blockchain smart contracts. But we didn't just want to stop there. We didn't just want to use the basics of blockchain. We wanted to innovate on the blockchain. And so the first thing we did is we set about employing the latest innovations on blockchain through papers that we read on certain ERC proposals, for example, ERC4337, which basically allowed the concept of account abstraction. And in its simplest form, what that allowed is somebody without much blockchain experience to log in with usual social logins, like, for example, Google or LinkedIn or whichever ones they're familiar with. And after that process, they would end up with a blockchain wallet. So we achieved the first thing, and we actually managed to do our first private sale using account abstraction. I think we're the world's first private sale. And so our private sale investors weren't actually blockchain or crypto investors. There were people who believed in the project we were working in. Some of them I personally met, and they were shocked and inspired when they could just log in with their Google, have a blockchain wallet, on-ramp crypto through an on-ramper, like, for example, one of our partners, Transact, and then suddenly interact with our private sale contract. And before they knew it, they were owning crypto. So we were really focused on this word easy. And that was really important to us. Like, if we're going to do something in this space, it's got to be easy. And then the next thing we were looking at was it needs to be safe. And we went deeply down into 4337, and we started to realize it's actually it's safer than the standard EOAs out there. And I'll let my colleagues explain why. I'll let Mohit or Farouk explain why. So basically, it becomes quantum computer resistant. And this is a real issue facing our industry. In the future, quantum computers could have an impact on particularly EOAs. And a lot of people now have had their EOAs hacked through that. And then the final thing we want to do is, well, if we're going to make it easy and we're going to onboard all these people onto crypto, the non-crypto natives, many of that on this call today, if we're going to make it easy, then we're going to make it secure, but then we've got to make them smarter. We've got to open up, why would I want to be on crypto? What are the benefits? So the garden is a gateway for them to be integrated and open to the world of DeFi. So all of a sudden, they're going to start learning this concept that they can be their own bank, that they can be their own lender, that they can be their own fund. So I'll just pick on one of those. I'll just talk about lending. So the concept is somebody could log in with Gmail, create their blockchain account, on-ramp $1,000 and literally lend it with a click of a button. There's no contracts to sign. This is all obviously on the blockchain there is, but this is not difficult from an interface perspective. So the garden is going to become an extremely powerful thing. And I'm proud to say that we're imminently launching the gardens as a base foundation. And each week on week, we'll be adding additional functionality so that garden can do more for garden holders. So I'll wrap up. My vision was for everyone to be able to have a garden, all of us. And so the first thing we needed to make sure is that that garden was not expensive, that when you mint it, when you have it, and others will talk about the technology, that it was an absolutely minimal fee. The next thing that was important is in the future, there will be other experts out there to help people to onboard them onto crypto and to help them understand what is a well-balanced portfolio. Because at the moment, what we see in crypto is trading, gambling, speculation. But if people just held on to what they had 5 years ago, they'd be much better off. And so I believe wealth management is needed now in crypto. I think the idea of holding on to crypto for the long term is what all of us on this call should be doing. So I'm going to pass it back to you, BFG. I hope that was useful to the community to understand what we're trying to do.
Yeah, perfect. I always love hearing the vision because it sort of reminds me why we are all here, and also reminds me what I keep saying to all my friends. Very few people are really good in trading, but everybody can be really good in investing if you just hold it and if you select the right assets. So let's give the floor back to Mohit. And Mohit, just give us, let's say, 5 minutes brief on the architecture of the protocol and the gardens. And then we give time to Farouk and Chintan to do the intros and talk about some more details.
Yeah, so I think you can hear me properly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mohit.
Yeah, yeah. Nice to meet you, everyone. It's nice to connect, Antaviran. And yeah, so I'm currently, trying to lead the architecture behind the Block Capital, especially on the garden and gardener side, enabling DeFi features. Obviously, with Farooq and Chintan's contribution to the code as well. And yeah, I've been developing protocols on the EVM chains before. Based on Shital's vision, there were co-architecture we have to define for the gardens, especially first, and then the gardeners. Those were the two aspects to cover for the wealth management system, and obviously all the DeFi features. So we started looking for the searching for the best solution possible, based on EVM as a protocol to use to create those gardens and the gardener contracts. And we found out that I and Shital combiningly about ERC4337, and we studied it, we researched about it. I individually knew few things for already before, but then we started applying things to develop contract architecture on the ERC4337. And with the time of blockchain development, also ERC4337 was developed very well. And official writer of the ERC4337 is Vitalik, so he was contributing as well to the ERC4337. And then we got standardized smart contract accounts. So all the smart contract accounts, when you create in the Block Capital ecosystem, those are completely based on ERC4337. And under that, you are able to create gardens, which are based on ERC4337 plus ERC6551. ERC6551 is basically token bound accounts. I think Farooq can describe more about how we implement exactly. But we use ERC6551 contract account for the garden deployment. And on the later stage for the gardeners, we're gonna use ERC6551 again to manage all the trades, all the following trades by the all the gardens to the gardeners, and managing all the data going to the blockchain for trading, total volumes, and all these things. We use especially JavaScript-based technologies to build this architecture. We already tested a lot of things on that, And yeah, and I think more things like Sheetal can provide you as feature wise what we're gonna develop at the longer stage. We're gonna allow most of the things like you can do basically 100% of the things you can do right now in the DeFi. For example, wealth management system, then you can lend your crypto, then all the DeFi features in the future. We For the security was a bigger aspect as well for because this is a wealth management system, so we wanted to make sure that how we secure accounts from quantum threats in the future, and also currently brute forcing happening in the EOA wallet, especially in the MetaMask and decentralized wallets. So the smart contract has a basically a really good functionality to put logic inside any account. So you can recover your accounts, you can add guardians in the future, you can add pass keys or face ID is under development by ERC4337. Those things for the authentication, login, and giving a signature validation for your transaction, your trades, your DeFi activities. Uh, and this will be enabled in the BLOK Capital itself. So you have peaceful days. Also, you can assign your mom, dads, your family members, your friends as the guardians to recover the account in case needed in the future. Yeah, so that is how we secure. We're gonna also have ledgers to be enabled to perform signature validation for the transactions. So and at the overview level, you don't have to worry about all these things because this will be enabled by just simple Google login, Farcaster login, or just Wallet Connect login, and under this gardens and everything will be deployed. So as a crypto user or as a non-crypto user, your life will be simple to do the same thing which is you were doing in the Web2 platform.
I had a request from MetaEnt. Brought him.
Jim, I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you. Lovely. Finally,
Fine.
somebody we can hear.
Actually, I have quite a lot of questions
Wonderful.
written down from what I could scrape from your web presents.
Perfect.
I will just dive quickly in if you don't mind.
Yeah, please, come on.
Can you explain more about how the Gardener system works? How are these money managers selected and embedded?
Perfect. I will probably ask Sheetal to talk on this one.
Okay, so initially we'll be reaching out to known entities out there who are going to be good wealth managers, but at the same time, we're a decentralized protocol. So our job is not to necessarily vet people, but to provide the community with as much information about that wealth manager that we can. And the most pertinent information is not who they are, but it's what they can do. And when you look at their garden performance, they just can't lie because everything we do is on chain. So for example, if you go to YouTube and somebody always tells you, oh, I bought in at this price and you should have bought in too, and you need to follow me because I'm great. Well, you can't do that in BLOK Capital. Your garden is visible to everybody. If you are clearly outperforming the market, and we see the market as Bitcoin, so if you can beat Bitcoin, you're good. And we'll do our best to give the tools to the community to make sure that they can sort of look through all the different variables in an easy fashion to decide which wealth manager is right for them. So we also have builders who are building on the protocol, and one of them comes from a risk management background. And what they're saying is they will build a front end for us or like an application area to allow somebody to enter in some information that will then get a risk profile. And then through the use of standard technology and AI, we will pick out wealth managers that seem to fit their risk appetite. So without dragging that on, we will also be reaching out to great wealth managers, but the floor will be open.
So it's basically something like eToro, but on the blockchain.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way of doing it, but it's a bit more than eToro, because the great thing about Garden is, you're going to be able to do a hell of a lot with it. So, for example, I'm not sure what eToro can do, but can we lend, for example? Can I, from my garden, I can lend $1,000 and get 10%. I don't know if I can do that in an eToro account, We're completely on chain. We don't, we really think that's the future, and we're trying to connect non-crypto natives to that future as well, because I hope yourself, is it Metend? Sorry, your
Yep.
name? Yeah, Metend.
Yep.
I hope you're on chain, and then the next thing is to make sure you're brilliant, fantastic. And then the next thing is to make sure you're secure on chain. So that, I deeply care about that. I deeply care about you being on chain, which is why I don't spend too much time out there with eToro. We're spending every living hour building out this. And yeah, we're really proud to say that we are days away now. So Metend, I invite you in a few days, or let's say Monday, to come to BLOK Capital. There'll be a URL that I'm sure BFG will hand out, and that will allow you to create a garden. We're giving a free garden to everybody, particularly on this call. And then you can start to see the power, and you can come with us on this journey, because we want to hear from somebody like you. I mean, that's a great question. I want to make sure that we're delivering what you think is important. So, for example, this is what I think is important, but as we start speaking to people, that could change. So what do I think is important? I think one-click portfolios is important. So literally just making my own index fund. One click, I put $1,000 in my garden, click a button, suddenly it's 30 tokens. What else do I think is important? Lending. I think I create another garden, put $1,000 in it and lend. And I don't want to know what chain. I don't need to know what protocol, because we as a DAO select the protocols. So I can tell you the first protocol we've selected as a DAO is Aave. But in the future, if, for example, you have a garden and you are getting rewards of Block C or buying Block C, you will also have a vote, and we'll maybe add a lending protocol that you propose. But whatever we do, it'll always be easy, Metend. We can't accept complexity in the BLOK Capital ecosystem. It's just not our, one of our values is really focused on making this easy.
So then follow up. Thanks for answering this. Answered the question definitely. Follow up. What about privacy? Will there be a way, perhaps in the future, to have a private garden that's not particularly visible to everyone, but let's say gardeners could still allocate some percentage of the tokens that I hold for investments?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think the first, obviously, the base privacy option is to just not have anything against your wallet. You can have a garden in an account from an EOA, if you like, and nobody needs to know that that's you. So I hope that answers the base question. But when it comes to selecting a gardener, just as you want to be private, maybe they want to be too. Who knows? The best garden in the world may be a Japanese girl who's 17 years old, and if people knew her identity, maybe they just wouldn't invest, or not invest, because they're not actually invested. They wouldn't use her as a gardener. So I think it works both ways. So I hope that answers your question, Meten. But feel free to ask me if you want a deeper answer.
No, understood. Thank you.
I mean, can I ask you, just while we're on this, Emma? I know the Ask Me Anything is to us, but since you're here and I love the questions you're asking, can I ask you, what is it you yearn for in crypto? What is it that that's your pain point that really,
Personally, my pain point in crypto is the thing that you or one of you guys introduced in the beginning, the pain of onboarding non-crypto people is very difficult.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were a lot of changes in the recent months and years, especially with services like Privy and so on, that make it easier. But to onboard someone that has never heard about crypto is still a mess, and this really needs to be dumped down a lot more.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll see when you get the BLOK Capital app, which is coming out in a few days, and I want you to be with us on the early stages. Really, I mean, I'm glad to be able to speak to you on this call, but I also want to know if that pains you as it pains me, which is why we're all here. Do you have people? Because, like, for example, I talk to friends and they're like, Sheetal, we want to get into crypto. Tell me, just look, I know you, just get us onto crypto. And I'm like, wait, the gardens are coming, because I want you to do it yourself. I want you to onboard yourself. But if I talk to you, are you yourself a wealth manager? Are you somebody that we could promote in terms of managing some gardens, etc.? I mean, we can't promote a specific gardener, but we can definitely use one.
No.
Okay.
I prefer to manage my own stuff only.
Honest
Less
answer.
stress. Less stress.
Appreciate it.
That's great, Meta, and I really appreciate the chat. Thanks.
Awesome. Any more questions, Meta? I loved the questions.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. I need to check what was answered already and what I still need to ask or want to ask.
Don't worry, just shoot. I'll correct you if you already answered it. We can always answer it twice. No worries. You see that it's a relatively, family-like gathering, so anyone can ask questions, and we can also repeat ourselves occasionally.
Are the contracts already live for other contracts open source and auditable, or
Yeah,
did
so
you have some
basically,
audits already?
so basically, the actual vaults where the crypto stored is audited. We're using ZeroDev as our partner in that area. Our contracts for what we call the Garden Factory and the proxies, etc., they are open source, and they are deployed either imminently or already as I speak to you. So, which is why within a few days, I'm going to be able to share this with you so you can see a garden in action.
Cool. I would like to check the contracts.
Sure. Yeah. Great. We look forward to that.
Yeah, we definitely need such
There's
engagement.
another hand up here.
Another question. What milestones do you hope to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months?
Okay, so the first milestone is obviously to launch the gardens. And then over the next 6 months, the gardens are just going to get greener and greener and greener, shall we say, stronger and stronger and stronger, more power to the user. So that's the foundations of what we're doing here. In terms of financial milestones, we're not a company, we're a DAO. It's all of us. It's yours, Metran. It's Steve Cox's, it's Chintan's, it's Farouk's. We're all here to change the status quo. And our milestone is to continue building the DAO, so more people in the DAO. The other milestone is to get, and our first financial goal is to have $1 million on the protocol. So I would like to think we would get $250,000 on the protocol over the next 3 months. And then you know how it works. You go from 250, you go to 500, you go to $1 million, and then we take it from there. And from our perspective, none of that money is ours. None of the rewards of any transactions or trades in the gardens is ours. It's the DAO's. It's all of ours. So we'll minimize it. We'll continue to keep minimizing it, just to pay the people that need to be there to build it, to manage it, to keep growing it. And so our focus is truly open source. And the true milestone is we're a full DAO. And the final milestone is, yep, the gardens are offering more and more value, more and more power, costing hardly nothing. And finally, we minimize the revenue to what we need to continue to keep innovating. Because without innovation, the gardens can start to, innovation is the water to the garden. So without innovation, we tail off. So we know to be a long-term protocol, to be there for the long run, innovation is what separates us from the rest. We spend an awful amount of time in R&D and innovation, which is why we're here today with the real production.
Okay, I would assume that there's a protocol token planned.
Yeah, so we have the token today. It's Block C. I know BFG is when we launch this app is going to allow certain people for a couple of weeks to get it still at the private sale price. I think the price is is going to be discussed. It's going to be very low because, you know, we think anybody early, anybody supporting us from the beginning, we want them to have the full rewards of it.
Cool. If you can send me DM afterwards, please.
Sure. Yeah. Are you on fire, Meteran?
Sorry again.
Of course. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll definitely be in touch. I mean, it's really nice to connect.
And the fee structure, what's planned, or what do you have in mind?
So the fee structure, going back, it's all of ours, Meteran. So I would listen to you. You would have your vote, everything. But we're trying to keep the fees as low as possible to ensure protocol growth. You know, because and we cannot limit innovation. So innovation does cost. It's the right type of people, etc. So that will always be open book for anybody, any DAO member to look at how much we spend on innovation, etc., and how much we spend on other areas. Going back to your question, which was was talking about the fee structure. So initially, we're going to give these early people the garden for free, but the garden does cost something to mint on chain, you know, because now we're taking on chain. And then the minute the garden does something, for example, let's say you do a swap, that swap is going to cost something. And we have an aggregation to all the dexes. So we'll get the cheapest swap price, but there's a cost to do that as well. And so we employed something called a paymaster, which is the ability for us to sponsor that transaction. So we need to take something out of that trade. And we believe gardens, whatever you're doing in a garden, there's some sort of on-chain activity, which is some sort of trade. So we're going to take as low as possible, but we're also realistic in the early days with the people that are coming. Look, we're offering a great deal of value here. We don't want to sell ourselves short. So the kind of figures we've been banding around are sort of 0.023%, something like that. And you have to remember, some of these people haven't been in crypto at all. So they're on-ramping different types of money. Not to say crypto money's not big, but you know, 99% of the world is not on crypto right now, and there's a lot of money out there. So we just don't want to sell ourselves short, but the real decision will be done as a DAO, Meteran, and I hope you'll join us on making the right decisions.
That's definitely a good approach, in my opinion, to have free transactions and just take a very low amount of commission fees, let's say. That makes it much easier especially for the non-crypto crowd to understand what's going on, instead of the question, why the fuck do I need a fee token or whatever?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the other thing we're thinking as well is, obviously, if people are early and with us and growing with us, they're going to get rewarded block C as well. Some can take the option to buy it. You know, I meet people and they say, you know, buy this much block C as well. But there could be a system as well that the more block C you have, the fee is going down, because you're a real family member. You know, you're with us. So we just want to keep it as low and low as possible for you. But if you're somebody who's just coming to the protocol, doing trades, etc., no block C, then perhaps your fee is a bit higher. And we encourage you to become more of our family, get some block C, and also then be able to contribute and vote and tell us how we can be better.
And what made you choose, what blockchain are you launching on? Sorry, I forgot.
So the good news is because we're on chain, we have to maintain that approach where we have to be multi-chain. You know, we have to understand that there's BNB chain out there that's got wrap Solana on, and we want our gardens to have Solana in. Solana isn't on Arbitrum, and we selected Arbitrum because for our experience in crypto, we feel it's the most advanced in DeFi. We think we can do the most for a garden on Arbitrum. But the good news is we've already tested multi-chain. So the great news I can tell you here on this call is gardens are multi-chain. So when you have a garden, you don't need to think about the blockchain, because your garden is across all of them. We've actually put it across all of them. So the minute you own some Solana, we as a DAO choose which token contract is the best one for ownership of that Solana. So at the moment, we're looking at those contracts, and it looks like wrap Solana on BNB chain of all places. As you know, we're not really a big fan of the centralized players, but at the same time, if they're not decentralizing, we're encouraging that. So we want you to own Solana. We think it's a great another great opportunity. So the garden will be able to hold Solana, but it will be able to hold it on chain. Nobody can take that token from you. Only you have access to your garden.
So it's yours, Shida, for the next 5 minutes. Let me
Sure.
handle the Firehouse part.
Yeah. So I think we should also talk a little bit about the technology. So I just want to see if Farouk has managed to get connected. So Farouk, would you mind trying to unmute and speak? And let's see if you can. No, okay. So I'm now going to go back to Mohit. Yep, so Mohit, what I'd like you to discuss is the scalability of the gardens and how we've designed a round robin approach to ensure that garden contracts can be deployed to keep handling the scalability as the gardens rise.
Yep. So I think scalability in a very like layman language, like we are scalable to all DeFi features coming in future as well, and we are also compatible to migrate 7702 to native smart contract accounts as well. For the Robinhood approach, obviously, like our contracts are having a proxies of the contracts. So by default, we are auto upgradable. So whenever there is a new version of the accounts where having more features is enabled, will be upgraded to your accounts because of the proxy Robinhood we have, and that will not cost much, almost very negligible cost. It will be for the gardens almost $0 for the users. For the DAO it will be penny or something it will cost, and that also helps to track the data, make data faster, smoother, and if I say very technically, you can mine the transition very early than other call data providers in the smart contract account as well. Talking from the meme coin traders, or the traders who wants to catch up the price very early in the best dexes available from Kyber Swap or any aggregators we have, that will be more faster and more defined data we can fetch through Robinhood approach. The Robinhood approach is basically indexing your garden accounts in a proper manner through contracts. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Mohit. I think I would also like you to touch on why these gardens are quantum resistant.
Yeah. So quantum computers by default has two major things which will be challenging for the blockchain itself natively. One is to breaking the RSA. RSA is basically signature validation algorithm or signature creation algorithm. You can say you might have heard ECDSA or ESA or RSA. Those are the signatures to create accounts and sign the transitions from private key to address and all these things. So quantum computers can do a computation faster than your computer to do a signature, so it can break that RSA in future, might be possible. And the second thing is quantum computer might guess your private keys by running the nodes in maybe 1,000 quantum computers working at simultaneous at one place in the world. It can break at least 0.1% of the private key, which is huge obviously as per the market data. Now how smart contracts controls that is, the first thing is that RSA is no need directly in the smart contract, because smart contract ownership is with the EOA wallet. If you hack EOA wallet, you are not hacking actually smart contract. So in smart contract you can put multi-signature, you can put multiple accounts to be signed for each transaction. Gardener can do multiple signature.
Can I just interrupt there? So I mean, just for the audience to understand, an EOA just has one way of interacting with it. Basically, you get the seed phrase and you're in. With a smart wallet account, it's actually a blockchain contract. So there's programmatics involved here of how you could access the tokens, for example. So there's various things we're employing, and one of them is the concept of guardians. So Mohit, do you want to just talk a little bit about guardians?
Yeah.
And by the way, Mohit, you're talking quite fast, so
Yeah.
for the benefit of the audience, take it a bit slow.
Yeah. So yeah, right, Shital, exactly right. And because we add guardians to recover accounts, also multi-signature to do transactions. Basically, quantum computer has to hack multiple wallets, and also knowing the things that this particular contract has these 3 signatures from 3 different wallets, which is very very complex, on top of guessing the private keys. So it secures in that way. In future, currently, there are in ERC4337 or 6551, there are pass keys, face IDs, and signature validation through your thumbs, or those are things going on, and we might also integrate it very soon, as soon as it becomes stable in the 4337. So that gives you quantum secure algorithms. One more thing is coming up, which is innovation happening in the EVM, which is of WASM library, to allow Python libraries to enable post quantum signature algorithm like Phoenix Plus or lattice based cryptography. But that is not live yet. But the good thing is that we are compatible to integrate those libraries once it's it becomes stable for the complete post quantum cryptography signature as well. So whenever we feel that okay, now it's done, it's there in the EVM system, and we can just upgrade our accounts, and user has to do nothing. It's automatically their accounts are getting upgraded. So at the moment we have guardians, at the moment we have multi signatures, passkeys. In the future will be quantum secure, and then
Metin, people have been asking me about the cost of a garden, and the cost, we've worked extremely well on gas optimization, so we've got the cost down to about 4 cents. Maybe we're going to drive it lower, but at the same time we're going to give people one for free. But at the same time, these gardens are going to get more and more powerful. So the other concept that's being bandied around is a second garden would cost around $5, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Be lovely to hear.
I had exactly the same thought. Like, I would even ask for, I think for even the no crypto people, if you would ask them to pay like $5 for that they can pay with credit card or whatever, maybe. I think this could even work as well.
Okay,
and then maybe give them some trades for free on top or whatever. But yeah,
exactly.
I think it makes definitely sense to ask for money, at least for the second version or second garden or whatever.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that. There was something else as well. We were talking about yeah, we're looking at like a learning program as well. So like you do your first lend, and we reward you in block C, because if we build a family here, a community that understands that it's even possible to do a lend, and how it's even more secure than giving a lend to somebody we think the first time you do that, we want to celebrate that and give you some block C, potentially an NFT, saying you're lending level 1, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Why not gamify it totally? Like,
okay,
give people a little, maybe on JavaScript or whatever, a little game where they can see, okay, here's my garden, here's, I don't know, a yield farm or whatever. You could even make it graphical.
You can even make a farm growing, couldn't you?
Yeah, literally like a farm game. You know what I mean?
So the good news is part of the DAO has already been building something with Unity.
Yeah, that's the most
that's sort of
most obvious thing I think to do in this case.
brilliant.
It would help tremendously onboarding people that have no idea, because they can vision something.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I mean, keeping privacy in, what is it, which area do you work in generally? Are you just fully focused on crypto now?
I work in consulting and development in blockchain and crypto.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, look, keep in touch for sure. I think you followed me on Farcaster, so drop me a note, and it would be a pleasure to share ideas personally with you, because I would love that independent feedback.
I don't know if I follow you here, if I follow you on Farcaster too, but is Sheetal is your Farcaster?
Yeah, it's the same one. It's the same one. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I think that's the wrap for today. Farouk, I don't have the ability to bring you up here. I want to thank everybody for attending. Thanks for the great questions. And listen, we look forward next week to be able to take you on this journey with us, to finally be able to show you a garden and then to get feedback on what we can keep doing to improve it. So take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Bye.